Hey guys, it's Danny and I just finished up a live Facebook video making my gluten-free chocolate chunk cookies. So I'm just gonna upload that here so you guys can take a look at it as well. I know some of you guys don't have Facebook, and even though some of these recipes are repeated, I give extra tips and tricks in those Facebook Lives, so we're gonna be uploading them here as well. So I hope you enjoy my gluten-free chocolate chip cookie Facebook Live. Thanks for watching. Gluten-free chocolate chunk cookies. These are hands down my go-to cookie recipe. My kids adore these cookies. I adore them. My husband just ate 3 of them, but nobody's counting. So this is a must-have recipe in my opinion. It's a dump and stir recipe. It's the kind of cookie recipe you could literally make in about 20 minutes, like start to finish. So it's always good to have recipes like that in your back pocket. And of course it is clean and delicious. So before I get started, as always, I'm just gonna say to you all, as you join in, come on down into the comments below. Let me know who's out there watching. Let me know where you're watching from. And please feel free to interact while I am cooking here today, because that is why I love doing these Facebook Lives, is that we actually get to interact with one another. And like I said last time, the only thing I enjoy doing more than cooking is chatting about food. So this is like a perfect world for me. I'm gonna get my phone ready so I can look at you guys as you're coming in as well. Anybody out there, Bang?
Not yet. Well, there's some, but they're not. There they are. There's Misty.
Hey, Misty. So we have Misty and Hannah from Austria and from South Louisiana, Clinton, Connecticut. Amazing. Hi, Mary. Okay. Oh, I gotta turn my volume down. I'm so amateur over here. Okay. So we are gonna be making my gluten-free chocolate chunk cookies. If you are gluten-free, let me know down in the comments below. Now, I am not gluten-free.
Can you show one?
Show what off?
Can you show one off?
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. I'm not gluten-free, but let me show you what the final cookies are gonna look like. Get my oven on too. Okay, so I'm not gluten-free, but I do try to keep my processed carbohydrates down to a minimum. So I don't eliminate anything from my diet. I enjoy everything, but I do try to focus on quality of ingredients. And before I start cooking, I think that's a great point to make, because a lot of people will say, oh, how many calories are in the cookies? Are they low calorie cookies? And I don't really focus on calories anymore. As many of you may know, I was a dieter for many years and I focused on calories and it never really helped me. So when I made a switch to focusing on quality of food and ingredients, it really has made like a huge difference in my life. So to me, this is a high quality chocolate chunk cookie. Okay, so let me tell you what we're gonna be using. I'm just gonna jump right in. Now the best thing about this recipe is, what makes it gluten-free is that the base of the cookie is made out of almond butter. So there's actually no type of flour in this recipe at all. And I remember when I first started to learn that you could bake with almond butter, it was so crazy to me because I used to love baking, and the idea of baking without flour just didn't seem possible. But it's amazing how these ingredients come together and actually create a cookie. So you need to start out with 1 cup of almond butter, which is what I have here. Now you could use peanut butter. It's gonna taste more like a peanut butter chocolate chunk cookie, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Or if you're trying to avoid nuts, you could try the sun nut butter. Now I'm gonna tell you, I haven't tried that myself, and my only concern is that it could possibly be a little bit bitter. But I haven't tried it, so I'm not positive. So you got a cup of the almond butter. Now, if you are opening a brand new jar of almond butter, let me show you guys. You see when you open a new jar, if you're buying all natural, it's gonna have all of that extra oil at the top, right? Which is what you want, by the way, when you're buying your nut butters, because if your nut butters are all stirred together, that means that you probably have some hydrogenated oils in the ingredients or some unnecessary sugars, right? So our oven talks. You hear it? Talks. So when you buy your nut butters, whatever type they are, you want to look for all natural nut butters. All you should see in the ingredients are whatever type of nut it is and then possibly some salt, okay? But you will get the separation like I have here. Now you could stir that right in, but for this recipe, it's better to dump it off. Otherwise the cookies get too wet and too oily and it's hard to get them to stick together, okay? So dump out that extra oil, stir together your ingredient, scoop out a cup and then mix it together, which I did already. So you could do creamy or crunchy, just depending on what type of texture you like.
Do you have creamy and crunchy in there?
I do, I actually do, because I use 2 ends of 2 jars. Nels says, hey Danny, I love your live videos. Thanks Nels, thanks for joining me. I have Nicole from Philadelphia. We have Muriel from the Netherlands. Linda, hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. This is, I'm allergic to refined sugars. Okay. This recipe uses coconut sugar or turbinado sugar. So I'm curious for you to tell me exactly what type of refined sugars you are allergic to, because technically they are refined on some level. Okay. After you've got a cup of almond butter in your bowl, I'm adding 3/4 of a cup of coconut sugar. That's what this is. It looks very similar to brown sugar, and it has like a little bit of a rich molasses flavor to it, as does brown sugar. So you need 3/4 of a cup in. You could also use a turbinado sugar for this. They would all get the job done, and honestly, if you didn't have any of those fancier sugars in your house, you could use a good old school brown sugar. Here's the thing. Is it a little more refined? Yes, it is. But the truth of the matter is, guys, sugar is sugar is sugar is sugar. Yes, some have a little bit more, a little more mineral in there, a little more perks of this nature, but sugar is still sugar. Your body still reads it as sugar. So if you don't have these sugars, you could make one of the other ones work. Okay, then I've got a teaspoon of baking soda going in my bowl. I have a teaspoon of kosher salt. You could also do sea salt, which I like the sea salt, but I often use the kosher salt. It's mostly because I like the texture. I have found some sea salts I like the texture. I need to refine them. Okay, then I have a teaspoon of vanilla.
Wait, what did you just say about the sea salt? You need to refine them, or
no? I have to find the brands that I like,
gotcha.
Because it's a texture thing for me. People always ask me, why do I use kosher salt? Texture. I like the texture. They're a little bit bigger. You don't use as much.
What was the last thing you just put in there?
Okay, so what's in the bowl right now? We have almond butter. I have coconut sugar. I have baking soda, salt, and some vanilla. We have. Let's see who's tuning in. We have Shelda from Nova Scotia. Hi, Shelda. Mina from Chicago. Hey, ladies. Thanks so much for joining me here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Say hi to Cheryl and Robin.
Hello, Cheryl and Robin. It's like having my father in the room over here. Okay, 1 egg. Here we go. Now, here's the thing. You could just dump the egg right in, because this really is like a mix and go kind, but you'll actually save yourself a little if you just give it a quick whisk ahead of time. Okay, so this is what I'm loving so much about this recipe. This is our final ingredient, other than our chocolate, okay? So you can see how you could literally even come home after like a long day, or if you have kids and they're home from school, or if it's the weekend, or someone's gonna do a drop by and you're like, oh shoot, it was my turn to, make something. You could do this so quickly. I don't know why I'm doing that with my fork. Let's swap that out. Okay, so once you have all your ingredients in the bowl, just like this, we're just gonna mix them all together. And what you're gonna see is it actually forms a cookie dough, which I'm telling you, still amazes me that you can do this with almond butter as the base. There's no flour.
Let's use this as a time to check out the phone. Nicole just jumped on.
Okay, let's take a look. Coconut sugar is the same as palm sugar, question mark. No, it's not the same as palm sugar. And I'm gonna tell you something. I don't use palm sugar. I've never actually tried it yet, so I cannot tell you exactly what the difference is. If anybody watching knows or could give us any insights about coconut sugar and palm sugar, I would love if you would just kind of comment for that and give us a little insight. Okay, come in and let them see the consistency of the batter. Okay, so you can see how that literally formed, like, when you make cookies, when you're done mixing it, it basically turns into a ball. in the middle of the bowl. That's what we've got here, like exactly like that. Christine wants to know if you can use regular sugar. Yes, you can. I actually mentioned that earlier. I'm using coconut sugar. I like turbinado sugar. If you don't have any of those types of sugar in your house, you could do a brown sugar, and you could even do a white sugar. They're all gonna get the job done. Some are a little more refined than others, but at the end of the day, sugar is sugar. And I feel like overall, we should think of sugar as something we just wanna minimalize in our diets. And then when we are gonna have it like this, you know, enjoy it and move on. So that's that. Now, let's talk about the chocolate. No, I do not have a pumpkin gnocchi recipe, Victoria, but I would like one. Okay, now a lot of people do chocolate chips. I like to do chocolate chunks, and what I like to do is buy my own bar of dark chocolate. This is the 72% dark chocolate bar from Trader Joe's. It's like big bar. It's like a 16-ounce bar, and I use this a lot when I'm doing my baking because I love the flavor of this chocolate. And I find when you cut it from the bar, you make your own chunks with the dark chocolate, there tends to be less fillers like emulsifiers and in the chocolate, so you get a richer, more chocolatey flavor. So could you do this recipe with chocolate chips? Yes, but if you want to bring yourself to that level of chocolate chunk cookie ecstasy, I would recommend cutting the chocolate yourself, okay? And all I do to cut my chocolate is I get up over your knife, put your body weight over your knife if you don't want your chocolate to fly away from you, and then it's kind of more like a shave. And the key is, when you get a sec B, zoom out so they can see how my body is. It's like I'm almost standing above my knife, because that helps, puts my weight on top, and it keeps the chocolate from flying all over. And then if you want them smaller, you just rotate your board just like this and give them a chop in the opposite direction, okay? And those are gonna be our chocolate chunks. So let's get this one in the bowl, and I'm gonna cut up the rest. Now for the chocolate, I usually use about 3.5 ounces, which for this bar is about 6 squares. This looks awesome for those fed up with dealing with gluten-free runny dough. This is just awesome. Yeah, Sabrina, I have to say, this recipe is awesome. I've been making this one for years, and I mean, I'm kind of repeating myself, but I was amazed at how these ingredients could come together and make a dough. I'm telling you, it's like a whole new world of food and cooking out there. So many possibilities. Now, if you have a family, or if you wanted to do this for some type of an event, this recipe is so easy to double or triple. You literally, you know, you could just double or triple the ingredients because it's a dump and stir. So you could make this in as big or small as a quantity as you want to. And they also freeze really great as well. I've actually been doing some experimenting with the Food Saver. Have any of you guys done this yet? I have it back on my counter over there. It's basically, it pulls all of it, what does it do? It vacuum seals your food. So like last week at Whole Foods, grass-fed ground beef was on sale. And so I bought like 5 pounds of it. Some of it I turned into burgers and seasoned up. Some of it I just left the way it was. And I vacuum sealed it, and then I put it in the refrigerator. And then instead of lasting a few minutes, I put it in the freezer. And then instead of lasting a few months in the freezer, it actually lasts like up to a year. And I could actually see how the color even was, like it stays nice and rich in color. It doesn't get gray or freezer burned. So I'm gonna start experimenting doing some of my baking as well, because you know, for me, I have 2 kids and they are growing and they have friends and they want to come over and they want to play, and in about 15 minutes these kids will wipe you out of house and home. I'm not kidding. Well, I don't care if it's cookies, vegetables, fruit, they'll take it down. So I'm gonna start trying to do a little more bulk cooking and saving for the future. So you can see it's a nice thick dough. And all I'm doing now is working the chips into the batter. Oh my God, this recipe gets me very excited. Gets my husband excited as well, doesn't it, Ben? Mm-hmm. Oh, let's see. Victoria made our pumpkin puree last autumn. She's in the Jersey Channel line, so pumpkin isn't as readily available as in the States. Oh, that's cool that you made it though.
Is there a substitute you can use for pumpkin for something like that to get it sort of?
Well, you could I don't know if you can buy it in a can. Is it available in a can? If it's not, you know, for almost any pumpkin recipe, you can buy sweet potatoes in the can and substitute that, like a puree. So if you're ever in a pinch and you're making a pumpkin recipe, you can get the sweet potato puree or a butternut squash puree, and they will both end up getting the same type of results, because a lot of that pumpkin flavor that you get is from the nutmeg and the pumpkin spices that we use. So in a pinch, my friends, it can be done. Okay, once you got all your chocolate in the bowl, like I've got going on over here, we are going to get these onto our baking mat. Now, top 10 kitchen essentials in my book, rimmed baking sheet. Not only do these make cookies, but they're great for roasting vegetables. You can what's the word? Roast. You can bake, you can roast chicken, you can do fish, vegetables. If you are trying to get your kitchen basics down, I highly recommend a couple of rimmed baking sheets. I like the half pan. That's what this is. Full pan is too big for conventional kitchens at home. And then you can line this with parchment paper. I love these reusable Silpat mats. You just line it right on top. And you know, if you don't mind a little extra cleanup, you could just spray the pan and put your cookies right on there. Now I'm getting a spoon. Okay, guys. So what I like to do is about a tablespoon per cookie. Okay? If you make them too big, you run the risk of them getting too delicate, and then they don't like to hold together, right? But if you keep them, like look at these, the ones that are done for a quick sec, right? These I made about a tablespoon, like a good hearty tablespoon each, and you can see they hold together beautifully. We'll talk about the finished result in a minute. So what I like to do is I roll them in my palm, and then I give them a little squish down, and that's it. That's how I will cook these. And I usually get anywhere between, I would say between like 18 and 22 cookies, depending. No, yeah, yes.
Wait, no, really? 15.
Okay, well, bang.
Sorry. There's never enough, put it that way.
Yeah, there's never enough, exactly. He thinks that because he eats them 4 at a time, and then he's like, oh, you barely made any cookies. Okay. Hello from Malta. Hello. Okay, and then you just squish them down. I'm going to do a few more, but I won't do all of them right now. So roll in your hand like you're rolling a meatball. Roll, roll, roll. And then a little pat down. So basically you're looking for like a little disc, right? How good does that look? If you wanted to, guys, you could give this a shake of like oatmeal if you wanted to turn it into like, make it a little heartier. You could put a little oatmeal in there. You could do a little bit of shredded coconut. You could add some dried cherries if you wanted to do like a chocolate cherry cookie. Always think of recipes like this as, you know, a little blueprint, but by all means, let your creativity get there and get in the kitchen and have some fun with it and make it your own. Okay, so I'm not gonna do all 12 of these because I don't want y'all to leave me. But this is what you're going for, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pop that in to a 350-degree oven for 10 minutes. Now every oven varies, so you'll have to see for yourself, but basically you want them to set up, and do not, I know this is not easy, don't eat them until they cool because they're very delicate when they come out of the oven. But once they set up, you can see they're they hold together really, really well. So let me see what's going on here in the comments before we taste these. Love, my daughter just asked me to make a healthy treat. Janice, this is for you, my friend. San loves my channel. Thank you, San. Hannah says, fabulous, they look so yummy. They really are. So, time for the hardest part of the day. Try that cookie.
I can try it for you.
No, you already tried 3 of them.
See the middle.
Oh. Can you see it? My goodness. It is so good. Like, I really want you guys to make these today because they're that easy and they're that delicious. So remember, that was about a 5-ingredient gluten-free chocolate chip cookie. Almond butter, coconut sugar, egg, baking soda, salt, and vanilla. Mix it all together, then mix in some dark chocolate or whatever kind of chocolate you prefer, and you've got this. Sabrina, I wish you could send those over the internet. I know, I wish I could too, but I'll tell you, the guy behind the camera, he doesn't wish I. He'd be very upset if I sent those cookies away. Denise, the carbs. Off the top of, I actually do have that off right here. 10 carbohydrates per cookie. So I don't even know, is that a lot of carbs for a cookie? Because you gotta think, almonds do have some carbs in them, the chocolate does, and their sugar. So it's still a cookie, right? It's just more of a high quality cookie. That's the way I think of it. I said this at the beginning of the video. One of the biggest things that helped me kind of transition into living a healthier lifestyle was to stop thinking of things in the terms of like numbers and diets and calories. And I know it's different for everybody. I'm just sharing my experience. And what I started to focus on was quality. So I really look for quality of ingredients. That helps me so much. And I think of a cookie as a cookie. Like, I think a cookie is a cookie. It's a treat, and you have it, and you enjoy it, and you move on. Back in the day, I would look for like low calorie, low fat recipes. And then when I ate them, I would eat a ton of them. Okay, let's see the comments. Robin, yummy, can't wait to try them. Jim from the UK, hello. Chris, would you mind if you sent those next door? That's our neighbor. No, actually, I wouldn't mind one bit. You might be getting a few cookies after this. Where do I get the recipe? So when this video is over, I'm going to leave the link right down in the comments below. It should stick to the top of the comments so that you guys can click over and get the recipe, okay? So this is it, my friends. Gluten-free chocolate chunk cookies at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm gonna give it 1 minute before I hang up here, because I just wanna make sure that if anybody has any questions that I've got them answered. I don't wanna leave anybody hanging out there. Let's scroll through and see. Because like I said earlier, this is my favorite part of being live, is that we get to chat. I'm going back.
Could you use a maple syrup or anything, or honey or anything?
Now, you really couldn't, because here's the thing. Because the recipe is so loose with the almond butter, you need the sugar to bind it a bit. If you used a liquid sugar, then what I might recommend, like if you felt like getting a little experimental in the kitchen, if you want to do a maple syrup or a honey, use that sweetener, but then you might have to add a couple of tablespoons of coconut flour, because coconut flour is also gluten-free and it has this magic absorbent ability. So it might absorb that extra moisture so that your cookie is still holding together. So if you did want to experiment with honey or maple syrup, that's how I would do it. Exactly like this, everything's the same except add in a couple tablespoons of coconut flour, or as much as needed to kind of bind the recipe.
And coconut flour is gluten-free?
Coconut flour is gluten-free. And remember, it's absorbent, so like you'll put it in and you don't think so, but it takes a few, like 30 seconds to a minute, and then you'll see the recipe start to thicken up. So go like tablespoon at a time until you see what you're looking for. And if it works and you find up with a good recipe, come on back over and let us know, because me and my clean and delicious peeps are always looking for new cookie recipes, aren't we? Maple or date sugar? Yes, as long as it's if it's a powdered sugar. Not a powdered, granulated. Can you use granulated sugar? Yes, you can. I spoke about this earlier in the video. Really, any granulated sugar will work. They'll all get the job done. Almond flour? No. No, because the almond flour is not going to be loose enough. Now, if you really want to try making a whole new recipe, you could do almond flour with the maple syrup, and then you might be entering, that might work for you. But for this recipe, no. The man behind the camera is lucky. Pretty and a good cook. What more do you need, husband? I love it. Okay, guys, so I think I got all of your questions answered. Like I told you last week, we're going to be doing these Facebook Lives every week, once a week. We just haven't been able to commit to like a day and a time yet. So we're just going to be doing it on the fly. And what I do is I post it on Instagram, on Snapchat. If you are if you are signed up for my newsletter and for my updates for my website, I send out emails to let people know when this is going to be happening. So if you like joining in on these live videos, make sure to just check in every now and then, and you'll know when we're going to be coming on live, okay? Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm going to leave the recipe down in the links below. I am Danny Spies. You can get all my recipes at cleananddelicious.com, and I'll see you guys back here next week, okay? Have a great day. Bye.